Hi, today we'll learn about the basic SQL. What is the SQL language and what are the features, SQL, how it is used to access data from the database. So let's begin. First, what is SQL? SQL is a structured querying language. It's also called as SQL and is an English-like language that is used to access data from the database. By definition, SQL is a special purpose programming language designed for managing data held in the relational database management systems. Okay, SQL is an English-like programming language. It's moving forward, you will see that SQL is indeed very English-like. It's a very simple programming language, and it's because of its English-like ability to communicate with the database that we call it as a select statement. Okay, now the figure that you see here are tables, rows and columns. So there's this department number column that has been highlighted in pink, and there is a row with ename Adams that has been highlighted in pink. So this entire table is nothing but an entity in relation. So you can use for example, employees in an organization. Employee is an entity. It can be represented using a table called as an employee, and the different attributes, the different information about that employee, for example, the employee ID, the number, the employee name, the salary of that particular employee, or which date that the employee joined, that's the hire date. This information can be represented as columns in that table. So in this figure here is a table. This table contains information about all employees in the organization. The columns EMP number, ename, job, manager, hire date are nothing but information about those employees. These are called as attributes or fields. And every row in the table denotes one employee. So Smith, whose employee number is 7639, is a clerk and has been hired on 17 December 1980. Under the department 20. Similarly, Adams is a clerk and has been hired under department 20. So one record, one row denotes one employee. Cardinality, the distinct values in a column is called its cardinality. So it's like more distinct, more unique the values are, the more is the cardinality. So for example, in the employee number table here, in the employee table here, the employee number column is the highest cardinality because no two records, as you can see, have a repeated employee number. Every employee number is different. So the cardinality of this particular column is really high. On the other hand, the department number column has values being repeated. So I can see 30 being repeated 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 times, and 10 is being repeated 3 times. So it's like the cardinality for this column is less. Introduction to SQL commands. We'll now look at how which commands can be used, what are the different commands that are used to access the database. These are the commands listed here under the statement heading. Select, insert, update, delete, merge. These are the DML statements, the data manipulation statements. Select retrieves the data from the database, insert enters new rows in the table, update changes the existing rows, and delete removes the unwanted rows. Merge is a very powerful statement that performs the insert, update and delete all in the single statement. Now, we call these as data manipulation language because they manipulate the data inside the database tables. Select, however, does not manipulate data in the database tables, but still it is categorized under the data manipulation language. Merge is a very powerful command. It can do all the operations in one go. So you need not write separate statements for inserting, updating and deleting records. We'll look at merge, insert, update and delete later. For this session, our focus is the select statement because select statement is a very basic statement. It's really vast. So there are a variety of statements that you can fire using the select clause. So our focus for this training is going to be only the select statement. Second comes the DDL, the data definition language. Create, alter, drop, rename, truncate, comment. These are the data definition. These constitute the data definition language. That's because when these commands are fired, the structure of the database changes. There's something called as a data dictionary that is maintained for every database. So whenever you fire any of these data definition language commands, create, alter, drop, what happens is the structure of the underlying database changes. So the data dictionary information changes, and hence it's categorized as a data definition language, because firing these commands changes the definition of the database as to which tables do you have. Creating a new table would mean a new table is put in, so the data dictionary is changed, the data definition is changed, and hence it's called as a DDL language. Data control language: grant, revoke, grant and revoke, again, as the name suggests, are used to grant and revoke privileges. Every database has a certain number of users. So if one user has created a certain number of tables, it can grant or revoke permissions to other users to access his tables. So those tasks are performed using these data control language commands, grant and revoke. And the last comes the transaction control language: commit, rollback, and save point. Going forward, you will see that the DML language command, whenever is fired, whenever a DML language command is fired, a transaction is executed. Every DML language command, every insert, update, or delete is executed in a separate transaction. So the changes which these DML commands make, they are either made permanent or rolled back. So if you want those changes to be made permanent, you issue a commit command. If you want those changes to be reversed, you issue a rollback command. So since these two commands actually control the transaction, which is nothing but your execution of the DML statement, since they control the execution of the DML statement and the changes made by those DML statements, they are called as a transaction control language. Save point, as you will see, is used to make a certain portion of the transaction as permanent and roll back the others. We'll look into it in detail later. Data retrieval using the SQL language. So here you will see how data is fetched using the SQL language. Capabilities of the select statement. You see that the select statement has the following capabilities of projection, selection, and join. Projection is nothing but choosing columns from the database table. Selection is nothing but choosing rows from the database table. So rows are nothing but the horizontal records highlighted in pink, and projection means selection of columns, which are nothing but the vertical columns, attributes from the table. And join is nothing but fetching data from more than one table. So in a relational database management system, data is going to be put into several tables. Every table is going to be related to another table in some or the other way. So there may arise a need to bring in data from various tables. So you need joins for that purpose. You need to join two tables together. So that joining can be done using the select statement. In this session, however, we'll be looking into projection and selection part of the select statement only.